Okay.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Shrewsbury Zoning Board of Appeals, December 20th meeting. I'd like to start out with an advisory from the Mass Department of Health. It's been issued for all non-vaccinated and fully vaccinated people to wear a mask in public indoor settings in areas of substantial or high transmission. Shrewsbury, Worcester County has been categorized as a high level of community transmission for over a month. Therefore, we require that all employees and visitors in all municipal buildings wear a face mask. Exemptions from the mask requirements include those with a medical or other eligible condition. In addition, we ask all those attending the meeting to practice social distancing, leaving space between yourself and other non-related parties. The board members here tonight will also be masked and practicing social distance through their seating arrangement. When speaking, we do ask that your face mask remain on. Thank you. Just as an announcement, we are short one board member tonight due to a last-minute illness. So any hearing coming in front of us, you have the right to continue if you'd prefer a 5-member board. That is your right, so we'll leave that up to you. We've got all special permits tonight, so.
Madam Chair, sorry, or you can have your hearing tonight and just have us decide. Is that accurate or no?
No.
Okay, so
Yeah.
every hearing this evening will need to be continued, is that?
No. They have the right to proceed forward as planned, or if you'd prefer to have your hearing in front of a 5-member board, you have the right to continue to next month.
Okay,
So just as a reminder, on a special permit, you need 4 out of 5 votes in favor of your appeal. It's a little complicated, and I apologize, last-minute situation, but we will get through this. So, moving right along, first order on the agenda is to sign a bill for $350 for the Worcester Telegram Gazette for November 29th, 2021 legal notices. Can I get a motion, please?
Move to approve?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Next order of business is to review and approve the minutes from the October 25th, 2021 meeting. Can I,
Motion to approve?
thank you. Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Okay, moving on to our 6:30 hearings. First order of business is to hear the appeal for, when I mention your appeal, you're welcome to come sit at the desk here. Hear the appeal of 36 Francis Ave, located in the Resident B1 District. This is for a special permit to Section 4B and 7C to replace and expand a pre-existing non-conforming detached garage. You could state your name for the record, please.
Matthew Rich.
Hello, Mr. Rich.
Hello.
You could let us know what you have in mind?
So our project, there's a current garage on our property. It's at least 20 years old. It could be as old as 60, 70 years old. I'm not exactly sure. It is currently 7.5 feet from the side property boundary for my neighbor. So we're basically looking to replace it with a slightly larger structure in the same location that it currently is in. So that's why we're applying for the special permit, because it would be 7.5 feet rather than the 10 feet from the property boundary.
Okay, thank you. Going to work our way through the board, see if anyone has questions or comments. Ms. Cosette?
I really have no issues with this. I just want to confirm that your side yard setback will remain 7.5 feet. You're not encroaching any further.
No,
you're
it'll
just
be-
making the garage slightly larger toward the back.
No, it's
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, the wall will be in the side wall closer to that. We'll be expanding it closer to the house, so away from the.
Correct. Okay, so the 7.5 feet remains, so I have no issue.
Patrick?
I have no issues.
Ann?
I have no issues.
Okay, thank you. Nor do I have any issues, given that this is a public hearing. I'd ask anyone that's in attendance, if they wish to be heard in the matter. Okay, being that there is none, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Motion to close?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
And Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the special permit for 36 Francis Ave, Residence B1, to Section 4B, 7C to replace and expand a pre-existing non-conforming detached garage.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next hearing on the agenda is to hear the appeal of 18 Norcross Point, located in the Resident B2 District. This is for a special permit to Section 4B to expand living space on a pre-existing non-conforming structure and lot. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Robert Murphy.
Mr. Murphy, let us know what you have in mind.
Okay, I am representing Colleen Doran. She has an existing house at 18 Norcross Point. She would like to renovate the rear of the house with renovations to the existing bathroom and second floor master bedroom, and do some renovations to the rear deck at the house. The lot is an existing non-conforming lot requiring a special permit. The requirements for setback at the rear are the main issue as far as alterations to the existing setbacks, where we're having a 2-foot cantilever at the rear of the building, and it reduces the rear setback by 2 feet. The proposed alterations will not have any impact on visibility for any neighbors, or, this is right on the water at Lake Quinsigamon, so the rear won't really have an impact on anyone. With that, I'll answer any questions you might have.
Great. Thank you. Lisa?
Goodness, every time I turn this, the plot plan moves around. So originally, it was unclear how the existing setbacks were to change. Do we have confirmation of that? In the revised plot plan, is that what we're to look at to get
Yes,
those
please.
numbers?
Please do look at that one.
Okay, but we don't have anything. Oh, thank you so much.
The property lines were set and recorded by a registered surveyor. And the work for topography around the house is done by a professional engineer.
Okay, and the red lines, can you explain that a little bit, around the existing house? I'm trying to determine what are the new setbacks.
So I just want to add, we did introduce maybe 6 months ago. We don't see it all the time, but we do ask that when the footprint is not changing extensively, we ask that they outline it in red.
Oh, okay, so the
This is-
footprint is not changing.
The footprint is changing slightly due to a 2-foot cantilever. So the foundation is not changing, as the applicant explained, right? It's
Understood.
just that 2-foot cantilever because they're changing a existing second-story deck into living space.
Understood. So now all the setbacks are, they differ by 2 feet all the way around the house.
Just in the rear yard.
Right.
The side setbacks do not change, the front setbacks do not change. As was explained, the foundation does not change.
Okay,
But there's a cantilever on the second floor of 2 feet. So we're required to show, as a revision,
Yeah, I
we're requested
get
to
it.
show
thank you.
2-foot cantilever.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I don't have any more questions.
Mr. Fullen?
And that cantilever is just above the first floor.
Right, it's essentially the framework of the second floor pushes out 2 feet.
I'm good.
Thank you. Ann?
No questions, thanks.
Great, thank you. I have no questions myself. Ms. McAllister, anything else to add? I'm sorry, I should have asked you
Oh.
first.
No, just that I'll point out again that this is an expansion of living space on a non-conforming lot. Obviously, the setbacks are changing, but we also flagged it for a special permit due to an expansion of the non-conforming nature of the lot.
Understood, okay. Given that this is a public hearing, is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay, being that as it may, can I get a motion to close the public hearing, please?
Motion to close?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Madam Chair, I make a motion to approve the special permit for 18 Norcross Point, Residence B2, to Section 4B to expand living space on a pre-existing non-conforming structure and lot.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Next order of business, to hear the appeal of 117 Old Mill Road located in Residence B1. This is for a special permit to Section 4B to expand a second story on a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling. Welcome. Could you state your name for the record, please?
Yes, Andrew Woods. I am representing the homeowners for 117 Old Mill Road, which are in the audience today. We have an existing house, and it has two existing bedrooms on the second floor. We're looking to get a special permit to remove the two rooms upstairs and add a second floor addition from front to back. The special permit was needed because after the surveyor had finished his plans, we found out that we were within the front and rear setbacks for the property. But the second floor addition would not be changing the footprint of the existing house on the property.
Okay, great. Ms. Cosette, questions, comments?
No, it's very straightforward. I have no questions.
Mr. Fullen?
Yeah, I'm fine.
Ann?
I have nothing to add.
Excuse me, I'm going to cough.
Oh.
I apologize. I have no questions as well. Given that this is a public hearing, is there anybody that wishes to be heard on this matter? Okay, can I get a motion to close a public hearing?
Motion to close?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Excuse me,
And
so
that-
moved.
Madam Chair, I'd like to make a motion to approve the special permit for 117 Old Mill Road, Residence B1, to Section 4B, to expand a second story on a pre-existing non-conforming single-family dwelling.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Oh, you poor thing.
Chief.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before I continue. Just the season. And I can't find it. The more I think about it, the more I'm gonna cough. So I'm gonna move right along. Okay, next hearing. This is to hear the appeal of 21 Sycamore Road, Rural B District, for a special permit to Section 6, Table 1, to renovate a basement for an in-law apartment. Can you state your name for the record, please?
Sure, Lori Bastian.
Hi, Lori, tell us a little bit about what you have planned.
Sure, we want to, looking for a special permit to renovate our basement that is currently finished to add some space for my parents to move in. We have a bedroom currently, a storage room, and a living room already down there that was put in when the house was built. And we want to add a small kitchen out in a room that's currently unfinished.
Okay. Ms. McAllister? Would you like to add anything?
Just that the applicant, I believe, is aware of the conditions that I will recommend that the board place, as we do for all in-law apartments, that the residents must be no more than 3 and related by blood or marriage to the applicant.
Thank you. Ms. Cosette, questions, comments?
I just wanted to confirm, it's not adding rooms, you're taking existing unfinished space and creating rooms through renovation as
Exactly,
an in-law.
correct.
Great,
Yes.
okay, thank you. I have no further questions.
Mr. Fullen?
No questions.
Ms. Ruffalo?
No questions.
Okay, I have no questions as well. This is a public hearing. Is there anyone that wishes to be heard on this matter? Great, can I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close?
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
I make a motion, Madam Chair, to approve the special permit for 21 Sycamore Road in the Rural B District to Section 6, Table 1, to renovate a basement for an in-law apartment with the conditions that no more than 3 residents can live in that space and must be related by blood or marriage.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, may I just say, if the applicants are aware they can leave, they're welcome to.
Yes.
Want to make sure.
Thank you. You do not need to sit through the rest of the hearing if you so desire.
Sorry, guys.
You're officially released.
But it's so interesting.
Bye,
You
everyone.
too.
Thank you.
That'll clear the room out real quick, huh?
I didn't know, maybe everyone wanted to see some zoning in action.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're leaving at the
interesting
best part.
Okay.
I wish I had one.
I have
I don't
one.
think I have any.
I have one.
What do you need?
We had a presentation.
I got a Tic Tac.
You know what? I'll take it, anything. Okay. Hello, everyone. How are you? Well, we're great. Okay. Yeah. We do have some virtual people joining us for today's meeting. So this is to discuss and vote on proposed changes to the Point at Hill Farms comprehensive permit. And this isn't a public hearing, so we will begin.
If you don't mind, Madam Chair, I can
Please.
just start off, give the board just a little bit of a reminder of what we're doing here tonight. So this is, as Chair said, not a public hearing. This is an administrative process to review the narrative request that was submitted to the board for a minor modification request to the comprehensive permit for the Point at Hills Farm. The board tonight will make a determination whether they believe the changes are insubstantial in nature. You can also determine that they are substantial in nature. I would recommend that you refer to the excerpt from 760 CMR that I provided, which does outline different guiding examples as to what kind of proposed changes are considered substantial versus insubstantial. If the board deems that one or all of the proposed changes are insubstantial, we do have a draft decision that we can sign, and the comprehensive permit will be amended as such, or modified as such. If any or all proposed changes are deemed substantial, the board then has to hold a public hearing within 30 days of this meeting to hear just those proposed changes that you consider substantial, and go from there. You may remember we just did this process starting in April, and we just rounded out a modification process in October for this same address. So tonight, I would maybe ask the board to consider the ability or their ability to take the votes individually. So you can vote individually on each proposed modification. You could also vote collectively altogether, depending on the discussion and the mood of the board. So with that, I'll turn it back over, but happy to answer any procedural questions as needed.
Thank you. It's going to be helpful as we move through this. So I'm going to welcome you and ask that you identify yourself, and let's get the conversation going.
Good evening, Madam Chair and other members of the board. For the record, my name is John Smolak with the firm of Smolak and Vaughn, co-counsel for the applicant and the project, Smart Growth. as well as wind development. Before we begin, I'd like to just introduce you to members of the project team, some of whom you'll hear from this evening. First, from Smart Growth Design, we have with us to the rear the proponent and the project, the site owner, Fran Zaretti and Rod St. Pierre. Also with us participating this evening remotely is our co-counsel, Peter Freeman and Freeman Law Group, who you cannot see on the screen. Also with us, in addition, as part of the wind development team, we have with us both Adam Stein, Senior Vice President of Development, as well as Ramey Schneider, Senior Development Manager for Wind Development. And lastly, with us this evening from the wind team is Liz Clark, who is with Beals and Thomas, project engineer, as well as Brian Cusson, Senior Project Manager with Cube 3, who is also participating remotely as well for this evening.
One point of order?
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I can confirm, it looks like only Brian Cusson is on
Okay.
the line from your team currently.
Thank you very much. I won't go over the information that's just already been described to you. That was an excellent summary of where we were. As you recall, back in October, we were last before you, and with a determination of substantial change and a decision that was issued at that time. And as noted as in the December 1st letter to the board that you received, we're requesting the board to make the determination of insubstantial change based on the materials that were submitted in that letter, and also in terms of the description or summary that we'll have before you this evening. We'll try to keep our remarks short, but we have our project team here as well to answer any questions that you may have in as much or as little detail as you'd want. In addition, as noted in our December 1st letter, Smart Growth is in the process of conveying the project to wind development. And so that process is in progress, and we've heard from Mass Housing and understand that it'll be a matter of days before that formal notice of transfer occurs under the comprehensive permit rules. So for this evening, what we wanted to do is first introduce you to Wind Development and its project team. As you may know, Wind Development has a strong and longstanding reputation for the development of residential communities and for the management of those communities, both locally and nationally. And then secondly, run through the summary of proposed changes that are described in the materials that you have before you. So with that said, Madam Chair, I'd like to turn the discussion over to Ramey Schneider.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you guys for taking the time to meet with us tonight. So just briefly, I think what we want to do, like John said, is give a high-level overview of wind development. I know that Rod and Fran have been before you guys before, but wanted to introduce a new face and introduce our team. Win is one of the largest property management firms and the largest affordable housing property management firms in the nation. We're a leader in developing workforce housing, which we'll have a large percentage of in the Shrewsbury project here. And we're excited about the opportunity to bring our team to Shrewsbury. In doing so, we worked with our Win residential team, who has over 13,000 units in 11 different states, including Washington, D.C., to really study the market conditions and understand what the current trends are and how to kind of reposition the buildings that Rod and Fran had previously put together to reflect 2021 conditions and what the future will bring. That meant looking at unit sizes, unit mix, thinking about sustainability in a different type of way, and revisiting the overall design, bearing in mind the existing building footprint, and also the peer review that was previously done between your team and the town, the town's peer reviewer. Again, I'm going to keep my comments high level so that we can get to any questions that your team may have. This is just the overlay map that was part of our notice of project change filing. It outlines the various changes that we're seeking, including building footprint adjustments, reduction in impervious area, decrease in bedroom count, slight increase in bedroom in total units, an increase in parking spaces, which will include EV parking changes. This is an overall illustrative site plan of the project. Again, it shows the two buildings. Two building footprints, really very little change to that. And then this great outdoor courtyard space that will really tie the two buildings and overall community together. You can see here that we have a dog park, tot lot, and then this great flex space where outdoor movies will be able to happen, lawns games will be able to happen, and there's still some communal and yet private gathering spaces where people can meet outside, have some Adirondack chairs, and then in this more kind of active area, there'll be grills and fire pits that will flow into the amenity space. And an exterior rendering of the project. This is off of Route 20 as you'll pull in. This is building 1, the main building. Here's the front door. That amenity space is right here on the corner. And then again, kind of in the parking lot, you can see building 1 and the front door. And these are draft format. There'll likely be some signage here, and then building 2, that smaller building in the foreground or in the background with the community gathering space in the middle. One more for you. Same view, building 2. And then building 1 over here. Again, that great interior but outside space that really will tie the two buildings together and create one larger community. This is a summary of changes table that was included in the notice of project change filing. And just as we go back, I just want to add that we've been working with Rod and Fran, who have filled us in on all the great progress that has been made since the initial filing in 2015, as well as Rowan and the town staff and department heads in terms of discussing some of the various changes that we're proposing here tonight, and we'll continue to work with the town as we continue to advance the drawings. The one final thing I'd just like to add is that in October, we applied for the DHCD pre-application for funding. There were over 100 applications this round, of which only 60 were invited back for a full application in January. We're very excited that we were selected to apply for the full application, and we will be submitting that full application January 13th. Adam, I can turn it over to you if there's anything else that you want to add, or we can open it up to discussion.
No, I think you did a wonderful job. Now, the only thing I would add, just as an intro to Win, one of the reasons why we're looking to make these changes is because we're operators in addition to developers. So we're long-term owners, long-term stakeholders, and we kind of view these changes as things that would be very helpful for long-term residency at the property, right? As we own and manage and operate the property. So as Rainey described, based on our experience with other assets, experience with the management company, we think these are sort of modifications that hopefully live within the bounds of the comp permit, that allow the property to function better and retain residency, reduce turnover, and be competitive for our application that's upcoming in January. So we tried to make these requests minimal and thoughtful for those reasons.
Thank you.
So that concludes our presentation. Thank you. And again, as indicated, these are what we feel are largely programmatic changes based on Wynn's history with these types of properties.
Great, thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Lots of information. Lisa, let's start with Lisa.
Let's start with me. So thank you for that presentation. I am the only board member who was part of this process in the past. So I can help my other board members understand a lot of perspectives that were unearthed, I guess, during the comprehensive permit when we went through this originally. So I do have a couple questions about some of the changes and what prompted them. So I'd like a little bit more than high level, I guess. So, and we can take them kind of one at a time. This is great to have this chart in front of us. So I understand the roof height and roof style. You're proposing to change that from what we have seen in the past. Can you just describe a little bit more about the motivation behind that change?
Sure.
Go ahead, Ray. Yeah.
So as part of our team internally, as well as DHCD's goals for the upcoming funding round, is to incorporate sustainability measures, namely passive house. And so when switching to a passive house design, there's added insulation, about 7 inches of added insulation that will be needed. And so either, we haven't fully finished studying this, but it would either increase the roof height by another 7 inches, or potentially reduce our ceiling heights in the unit by about 7 inches, give or take. So one of the main drivers in going to the flat roof was to be able to incorporate some sustainability measures, and namely passive house. It's also due to mechanical equipment and placement of mechanical equipment. The HVAC systems and cooling systems that we're pursuing here, there's one condenser system per unit. And so to be able to locate all of those condensers happens mostly on the rooftop, and there's runs to each of the individual units. So a flat roof is much more, it lends itself, and those will be shielded behind a parapet wall, so it'll all be screened, right? It's not going to be visible to the naked eye on street level, but those will all be located on the roof. I believe in your submission there was actually a roof plan included to show how the roof area will be utilized.
Okay, thank you. So that's a lot more information than is in the modification narrative, so thank you very much. I will say from the time of the comprehensive permit, abutters in the neighborhood adjacent to this property were definitely concerned about the height of the buildings, and during that comprehensive permit process, the original proposed buildings were changed from 4 stories to 3.
Right.
So that was wonderful. But what was presented at the time was the roof style that you saw on the comprehensive permit, which to many may fit in better with the look and feel of the existing neighborhood around it. But I appreciate the other motivations behind the change from that roof style that we saw in the past to this flat style. Sustainability is a great reason, and passive house. You mentioned the 7 inches more of insulation, which would have increased the height. So if you had, correct me if I'm wrong, if you would have stayed with the style that was proposed previously, that would have increased that.
Correct.
Height.
We would be right around the allowed 50 feet.
Okay. All right, thank you.
And so, and to your point, and what I didn't mention is we know that height was a sensitivity. We know that the building previously went from 4 stories to 3 stories. And while, yes, I agree, it's a deviation from what was previously submitted, we did think that it was still being respectful of the existing community surrounding it and the Stony Hill neighborhood, and creating a better community in terms of sustainability to exist in the surrounding neighborhood.
Understood. And I did have a question prior to coming tonight about the mechanical equipment. So if you could, you probably don't have any drawings of what that would look like on the roof. I believe the abutters would be concerned about things that are visible. But I believe we could talk about sight lines and whatnot,
Yeah.
but I'm sure they would have been great.
So, for example, this is 35 in Shrewsbury.
Mm-hmm.
Their mechanical equipment is all located on the roof. You just can't see it because, again, it's shielded in a centrally located area. There's a parapet wall. We have a couple other examples from Cube 3's portfolio. Again, all having similar flat roofs and some architectural differentiation. We're also proposing some differentiating heights around the building, as you saw, and that was intentional so that it wasn't just a flat
Yes.
roof straight across. There was still some interest and detail and ins and outs throughout the building, going back to the peer reviewers' comments and feedback, from the
Yes.
original plans.
Yes, and the original plan had that as well, which was pleasing to us and to the abutters. One last question on the mechanicals, noise. I know I'm asking questions that I probably don't need to ask, but just want to understand more about the mechanicals. That was an issue in the previous comprehensive permit, so I'm trying to determine if that's a substantial change or not.
I don't know the exact, can you elaborate a little bit more on that question? Was it the individual ERV systems that were questioned to be loud, or what was?
I'm trying to determine if the mechanical equipment itself will be changing all that much from what was originally proposed, and we can hold that if you want. I do have a couple other questions about some of the other modifications, if you want to.
I can't tell you in good faith that I know what mechanical equipments were previously spec'd. I can tell you that the ERVs that we're speccing, we do on pretty much all of our buildings right now, and they are what is the latest and greatest in terms of design and sustainability efforts. So I don't think that there would be any increase in sound, just knowing that this is what's being done.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know if Cube 3 would know what.
Yeah,
what the
Brian, I
original
don't know
systems
if you
were.
have any information on that.
Hey guys, sorry.
Hi.
We can certainly double check, but with going all sustainability and checking to see where we stand from the previous design, it probably wouldn't be an increase of any more than a couple decibels, but it is something that we could look into to see where we were.
Okay, thank you. And should I just keep going?
Might as well get it all out. Let's do it.
And then we'll
Conversation.
go
Yeah.
around.
Questions, we're learning.
Okay, great. So the unit count is only going up by 1, and I understand how that happened because you're reconfiguring your bedroom distribution, if you will. It's and basically you're going from the original plan of 158 bedrooms to 149, so that's a decrease, and I would view it as not substantial. The parking spaces, could we just talk a little bit more about that? There are 9 additional parking spaces, and forgive me, I don't recall how those are determined, and then I also don't recall how they were used in the traffic study that was performed for us, so I'm just trying to determine the impact.
Sure.
So that's where I'm coming from.
So traffic is based upon your population. So with the unit count shift, we did identify that we went up minorly. We went up to 672 trips per day. So it doesn't have to relate to your parking spaces.
Okay.
In terms of the parking spaces, we did add 9, and we did so by making things a little bit more efficient. So up here where this number 2 is,
Yes.
this is our main entrance, and it's a great place for people that are picking up somebody from the property, or if they're coming in to inquire about leasing, to pull in and drop off. So we did add 4 short-term spaces right here. We gained 1 space out in this corner over here by converting our trash from having a dumpster outside into internal buildings. And then previously, the parking where these number 4s are broke, and we had a continuous island here with landscaping. We were able to maintain the required landscaping percentages and broke this island here. Actually over here.
I don't see the pointer, but you're over by number
I'm so
4.
sorry.
That's okay. I'm following the numbers that you're mentioning.
Hold on. I'll point it out.
Hang on, I have a pointer. I use the laser pointer here. There we go.
There
There
it
you
is.
go,
There it
great.
is.
All right,
over
thank
by
you
the
for telling
fours.
me. So the number 4 here and here, we were able to reconfigure our driveway a little bit. So now it comes in this way and parking is able to circulate through. Previously it was blocked by a full landscape island, so they had kind of a double drive condition where you had a driveway here and then a drive aisle here. So that's where we gained the remaining spaces as well.
Okay,
And we did this, and we also added loading with just a minor increase in impervious area of less than 4,000 square feet.
so what I'm hearing is you were able to reconfigure the property really and create more space, and that allowed you to add these other spaces. I didn't hear that it's necessarily due to more population
No.
necessarily. So, okay, that's wonderful to know. I think I've asked all of my questions. I do have one more, sorry. On the architectural drawings, could you just show us which, so that one's from Route 20. Could you go to the next one? So this, I think, is possibly what was 3B on our old plans, or I'm imagining myself at one of the houses in the neighborhood on, and there's a lot of buffer,
Yeah,
granted,
and there's a big grade change.
and there's a big grade change, but is this the side that I would be viewing? Do you have one?
So this,
shows.
no, so actually,
That's
none
fine.
of the views that we're showing you right now would you really be able to see from Stony Hill neighborhood.
Yeah, okay.
This is in the parking lot, so
Right.
it's really along Route 20. This one is further down, kind of as you're getting closer to Stony Hill Road.
Sure, but viewing the courtyard.
But it's still kind of in the middle of
Yes.
that, right after that parking lot ends, pretty much.
But I can imagine.
But this is that building, the smaller building, if you will, that's closest to the Stony Hill neighborhood.
Okay.
You guys can still see the pointer. And again, there'll be this great courtyard area, lower ceiling heights. So really, I think that the view from the neighborhood will be very minimal, if any, once you factor in the buffer, the
yeah.
grade change,
Okay.
and the setback from that grade change as well.
All right.
And the massing has been reduced
Right.
as a result of the change in
Correct.
roof style. And we think
We're not
that's,
citing the buildings any differently. The buildings are still cited in the same way.
In the
Correct.
same footprint, right.
Right.
That's what it looked like. Okay, thank you very much for answering all my questions.
No problem.
Patrick?
That answered everything
That
I
pretty
had.
much covers it all, doesn't it? Thank you, Lisa. Ann?
So I just had a couple questions about the roof change. You said partly it's for sustainability. If you were to retain the peaked roof style, what kinds of, would you be able to achieve the same levels of sustainability and things along that line?
So we had this conversation earlier this week, or earlier last week. Our sustainability consultant, the majority of every project that he's working on right now is a flat roof. If we maintain the gable style roof, it will likely create, again, we were talking through this, so I don't want to say anything with surety here, but he was thinking that it would likely create a hot attic condition, which would make obtaining passive house standards very difficult, and operationally and long-term hold-wise and just long-term operations and durability of the project wouldn't lend very well.
Thank you.
So I can't say for sure that we couldn't achieve it. I think it would be a challenge.
I also think, Randy, it would be probably more either cost prohibitive or just prohibitive. and
Correct.
We wouldn't pursue it.
Right.
I guess we would have the choice to pursue it or not. We would like to achieve that because we think that's important.
And the state thinks it's important.
Thank you.
No problem.
I have a question, just a term that you use, I'd just be curious to hear a little more on, and it has nothing to do with the changes here, but the workforce housing aspect of this. Can you just give me a little bit of insight into that? I'm just curious.
Sure, yeah, you're all looking at me, I'm happy to do it.
I'm gonna let Adam.
So we have sort of three income tiers of the property. We have what's called affordable housing, which is 60% area median income or less. And then between 60 and 120 is defined as middle income. And then anything above that is market rate housing. So no restrictions on income or rent. So affordable is 60% AMI or less, where rents are tied to incomes. Residents earning 60% or below of income, their rents won't exceed 30% of their annual income. And then the middle income tranche is just a higher level. So we have a municipality like Shrewsbury that has a strong area median income, and renters that earn above 60% AMI, so they don't qualify for, call it, quote, affordable housing, but still want to be able to live in a community, have some rent discount to market. That's where the middle income program comes in. And it's a relatively new program, I'd say in the last 5 years, established through Mass Housing, who is the entity that provides the resource for middle income funding. So we would be kind of layering those three components into the deal. Well, one thing I would say, all 94 units will look the same. Size-wise, dispersed throughout the building, first, second, and third floor, all accessible and fit and finish. So, finishes, countertops, appliances, things like that. So there's no real differentiation between a 60, 100% or a market rate unit in terms of size, finish, or even access to the building.
Right. And Adam's 93 units, sorry, I just want to clarify that.
Okay, did I say 94? Sorry.
No problem.
Right.
Just wanted to clarify for everyone that we're at 93. But I also think that, to Adam's point, because there is a market component here, we're designing this building and our amenity spaces and everything else are to market standard and market rate level finishes.
Well, that's a good point, because you're sort of targeting to the highest rent. right?
Correct.
So it all kind of goes from there.
Correct.
That's a good point.
Also intriguing to hear the point about, trying to please your clients so that you're building the amenities around something that's going to give them longstanding benefit to living there. So that's
Correct.
interesting.
That was one of the big changes. We sort of located all the amenities up in Building 1. And I think we sort of ended up with this suite of amenities, whereas before they were dispersed a little bit between 1 and 2. And I think it made for a more efficient use of the building and the first floor and opened up into the plaza. That's what allowed us to get the additional unit, right? Because we were more efficient within the building. But I think it allows us to get more of a high impact space for fitness and community space and leasing office all in that front building at Building 1. So.
Thank you. Yeah, going into this, my biggest concern was the change in the roof lines. But I think we've talked about that, in my opinion, and it's an adequate explanation as to why that happened. So I appreciate that. Questions, other comments?
All my concerns have been answered. We could take each modification one at a time, individually if you want, or we could.
I mean, my read on the crowd is that we could probably put them all together.
So I too, I had two modifications that were of concern, and it was the roof style and parking spaces. The other modifications I felt were insubstantial, but hearing the answers to my questions, I also feel that the roof style, roof height, and parking spaces changes are insubstantial as well. So that's where I'm standing right now. Don't know about anybody else.
Patrick, what are you thinking?
I'll agree with that.
Ann?
Me too.
Yeah, and I feel the same.
So
That's going to help us reach our decision.
Yep, so we could do it all at once, I guess.
I think we could do it all together.
So,
We have the wording here.
I have to find the wording if I'm the one who's going to read the wording, or if someone else has it, they can find.
You like to read the wording.
I have to find it, though.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I mean, for ease,
Yes.
and the applicant was also provide this, but we do have a draft decision if you wanted to reference the conditions, to modify the conditions as listed in the draft decision.
There we go.
Otherwise, you
Fine.
could go line by line through.
I think you can do as defined in the draft decision.
Okay,
I know we've done that in the past.
but even the wording of
I'm
I
comfortable with
approve
that.
the,
And I would just ask as well, Madam Chair, if any of the board members do have any objections, if you would mind explaining your reasoning, that would help me in writing any decisions or further material on this, but.
I don't think we have objections. I think we're all
Well-
pretty clear and straightforward on this, so.
everyone is?
Yes.
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 So how will I word
So I would
this?
make a
Make a
motion.
motion. So I don't have it for me, sorry. I make a motion to determine the proposed changes of the Point at Hills Farm comprehensive permit are insubstantial. And how did you want me to phrase the, as stated in the draft decision?
The draft determination regarding the proposed changes to the details of the project. You could read the.
I don't have it in front of me, that's my problem. I was looking for it and I don't have it.
Here,
Thank you so much.
just to keep it cleaner.
Okay, let's start over. Here we go.
Thank you. And this is each condition.
You could simply read the heading at the top,
Okay.
perhaps.
I think the heading at the top.
Otherwise, you could go line by line if that is more comfortable. It is up to the board.
Hold on. Okay. It's just very strange. I make a motion to approve the determination regarding the proposed changes to details of a project authorized by a comprehensive permit issued for 526 Hartford Turnpike, The Point at Hills Farm, Shrewsbury, Massachusetts. And I'm going to go ahead and list the conditions. The first is a condition A.5 and B1 to allow for an increase to the total number of units from 92 units to 93 units. Condition B1 and B2 to allow for an increase in the percentage of affordable units from 25% or 23 units to 25 8/10% or 24 units. Condition A5 to allow for a decrease in total bedroom count from 158 units to 149 units. And the reconfiguration of unit type as stated in condition A5. Condition A3 to revise the approved plans to allow for a change to building footprints as shown on the site plan. Condition A6 to allow the increase of parking spaces from 152 spaces to 161 spaces.
I'm sorry. This was a small amendment that we just made. I know.
So I have to
To
start
five.
over? Oh, to
No.
5, okay. To the last point I made, condition A3, to revise the approved plans to allow for a change to building footprints and to allow revisions to the outdoor courtyard area as shown on the site plan. Back to condition A6, to allow the increase of parking spaces from 152 spaces to 161 spaces. And lastly, I believe, condition C1D, to replace the approved architectural plans entitled Smart Growth Design with the new architectural plans entitled The Point at Hills Farm to allow the roof design to be altered from a pitched roof scheme to a flat design with varying roof parapet heights. The roof heights are modified as stated in this draft. Okay, I think I got all of them.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you guys very
Thank you,
much.
sir.
Thank you very much.
Appreciate.
Great presentation. Appreciate it very
All
much.
that?
Have a wonderful holiday.
You as well.
I couldn't find that.
Can I get a motion to close?
Motion to close the
our hearing?
overall hearing.
Can I get a second? All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. All right, on to 2022.
Here it is. It's right here.
Signatures on both, like, on all the sheets.
On all,
All four.
All the sheets.